Going into the holiday, I'm not going to make this evening video a very long one, but there's a lot of disparate stories that are starting to paint a picture that something very well might be going on behind the scenes with Venezuela. In our country, meaning. Or at least with countries that support the United States. I pulled up a map and just colored in some countries to show you how many governments have now formalized relations with Mr. Maduro and have recognized that he is the duly elected leader of that country. The idea of isolating Venezuela is ludicrous now. You have the Russians, the Indians, the Turks, the Saudis, the Chinese, even the Italians have set up a deal for coltan. Members of OPEC. It's not something where he's going to be isolated enough that the sanctions are going to have any real effect. Now, the disparate events are this. Earlier today, I did a video where I talked about Mr. Trump and his reaction to having a conversation with the new president of Mexico. Well, what I didn't talk about was what he was doing while he was making those comments. You see, he was talking with the Dutch ambassador, or prime minister, pardon me, Dutch prime minister. And the reason that's important is, of course, those three little islands to the north of Venezuela are Dutch colonies. And I think now the idea of doing anything through Colombia is a non-starter. Duque is going to have his hands full with the ELN and the FARC. His military is now so compromised that any plans they might be making would immediately be leaked to Maduro and to the Venezuelans. So I don't think that's something that he could affect through Colombia. That would leave two other options coming through the Dutch islands, through the north side, or through Brazil. And strangely enough, we have this story. Now, I know by itself it's not that big of a deal. Rimpac was this exercise, a lot of different countries, just joint military exercises for training. But strangely enough, the Brazilians dropped out with no real explanation other than a change in operational schedule, which is odd in and of itself. The Brazilians have a large, very large military, very powerful military as well. Number 17 ranked in the world. In fact, I think they're actually up to number 15 now. So if there were designs on doing something in Venezuela, given that Guyana hasn't recognized Venezuela but Suriname has, you might see something come through Brazil. Brazil has the forces to do it. And they have the jungle training. You see, this would be the thing that I've always made the contention that the U.S. might have a much harder time than they thought ousting the leader of Venezuela, because we just don't have enough jungle-trained troops that are used to operating down there. And they would be at a severe disadvantage, especially given that there are no uncompromised military bases in either Venezuela or Colombia. But Brazil's a whole different story. The Brazilians, their military does nothing but operate in this region, and their military has been used very recently to operate as basically peacekeepers, I guess, and police authorities in a lot of their cities. So they're no joke. The Brazilians are a force to be reckoned with, and the Venezuelans would probably have more than they could handle. And this issue with Brazil just strangely pulling out of that exercise, and our president having a conversation with the Dutch prime minister, of course, these three islands here, are just curious. And then there's this. The Venezuelan military just inducted over 7,300 NCOs into its military. So usually you do stuff like this when you are ramping up. And of course I reported on a week or two ago, the movement of high-level Russian aircraft from the center of the country to the border with Colombia. There's just a lot of assets and a lot of things moving around right now that are just a little bit too overly coincidental. Now, there are no smoking guns here. There's nothing, that is a definite indicator that military action's on the way. But this issue in Colombia is going to get a lot worse very quick. This leader of Colombia is pretty much Darth Vader when it comes to these rebels. He's not going to talk, he's not going to deal, he's not going to negotiate, he's not even going to attempt, he's going to actually probably overturn the peace deal. And if the FARC rearms and the ELN decides to go back into operations, we could be looking at a full-blown shooting war from Ecuador all the way over through Brazil, and with Panama being right there. I'll pull that back up just to give you folks an idea what we're talking about. From here through here, all the way through here, there's no way Panama stays out of this. And the fact that we now have Venezuelan troops, amongst others, Cuban troops, Russian assets in Nicaragua. I know none of these things all by themselves are, like I said, smoking guns, but you look at it all together, you look at it all as one intelligence report, and something is brewing, and they're keeping it tamped down. And I'm going to continue to do the research and look into this, but if I find something, I'll let you know. But everyone be safe tomorrow. Fireworks being what they are, you always hear the stories about tragic events that could have been prevented. Just use your head, drink a little more iced tea, a little less beer. And if you are going to be drinking it all, of course, Uber, Lyft, all of those wonderful rideshare services out there to help you get from A to B in one piece and without a DUI, and help you hang on to a lot more of your hard-earned cash. And enjoy the 4th, enjoy Independence Day. It's one of the best holidays we have. It's one of my favorites. And in Florida here, it is almost, fireworks are like a religion. So they've already started. So everyone, God bless you all so much. I know we talk about a lot of things that make us question our government, but that's because we love our country. And that's part of it. And, on a day like tomorrow, I'll probably refrain from doing anything other than maybe making a video about the fireworks, because it's Independence Day. And after that, we'll get back to doing what patriots do. Like, share, subscribe. God bless, and we will see you next time. Thank you.